Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of JC Radio. Not sure if we're going to call this one a discussion or not. It sort of is, but it sort of isn't. I'm here with my brother Justin again. If we've put up the other episode already, if not, well then first time I'm here with my brother Justin. Obviously, I'm also here with Alex. John not here, mostly because of what we were doing tonight. We're recording this super late, but NFL season's coming up. I know there's a lot of fantasy football fans out there, and that's exactly what we actually did tonight. We drafted for our fantasy league. We're going to talk about kind of some of the stuff that happened in our league, some about, some picks that we thought maybe were rated too high, some that maybe were rated too low, all kinds of fantasy football things. So we'll see how long this turns out, and we're just going to go from there.
Woo.
So enthusiastic.
So where do we want to start?
I mean, Justin, you had the first pick of the draft. I mean, we talked a little bit, but you said you've never had the first pick before. What was it like having that the first time?
It sucks.
Do I get my money now or later for that pick?
Huh?
You paid me for it.
No, I didn't. He's full of shit. The first pick sucks because you set the precedent for the whole start of the draft.
Was it hard figuring out who you wanted?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, would you like to inform the people who you took?
I ended up taking Alvin Kamara.
All right. Not bad.
It was
choice.
between him and Saquon Barkley.
Both solid options.
I like Kamara better. He won me a championship in 2 leagues last year.
All right. Fair point.
Yeah, but the question is he going to be able to do it again, especially with the new running back in there instead of Mark Ingram, too?
Yes.
So enthusiastic there, Justin.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
This is all you get at 10 o'clock at night.
Okay, fair point. No, overall, I mean, first overall pick, there were a couple guys you could have gone with, I thought. Kamara and Saquon were both solid choices. Obviously, Saquon was rated the highest, but I don't know how I feel about that because I get he still killed it last year, even though the Giants were awful, but I still am iffy on how things are going to go with him.
If they put Daniel Jones in, he'll be fine.
Speaking of which,
because Eli sucks, and it can't get any worse.
Speaking of the whole
put
Daniel Jones thing, just a quick thing here. Alex and I actually recorded a thing about the NFL draft. The video quality was garbage, so we didn't put it out, but we were both surprised that the Giants out of nowhere took Daniel Jones at, 4th overall? It was something in the top 10.
Something like that.
Yeah, he was definitely top 5. Definitely
Was he?
top 5.
Either way, Giants took him super early. Even everybody at the draft, watching it live and stuff, was like, what the crap? This was the stupidest pick the Giants could have made, and now they're making us all look stupid because he's looked pretty solid so far in preseason. I get it's preseason, but still looking solid.
Yeah, but like you said, it's preseason.
I thought the funniest thing about that is that watching all the reactions in the crowd during the draft.
Yeah.
Everyone literally had the same. I was like, what?
Who's this? Who is this Daniel Jones man?
Everyone in New York hates any drafts because the NFL, they make dumb decisions, like potentially taking Daniel Jones 4th. And the Knicks make dumb decisions in their drafts. So New York just hates drafts.
Fair point.
That is fair.
Enough about the actual draft. My first round grab, I ended up taking... Who did I take? I took Julio. Again, I feel I was later in it. We have a 10-team league. I was the 9th pick overall. So,
way better than where I ended up.
If you know anything about fantasy, ours was set up in a snake draft where if you're the last pick in the first round, you're the first pick in the second round. Or if you're the first pick, in round 1, then you're the last pick in round 2. So, the earlier you are in one round, the later you are in another round.
But if you're at the start or the back end, you get real close picks.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in the middle like Alex, you just have to wait 10 picks every time before you get another pick.
Yeah.
Whereas, I had literally back-to-back picks. I might wait 20 picks in between, but then I go back-to-back.
Yeah, you had the first overall pick and then the 20th and the 21st.
Yeah.
So, I mean, snake
Now
drafts are
6.
interesting. Yeah,
That's
Alex
terrible.
got right in the middle, which, again, I feel like each spot has its ups and downs to it. In the middle, you never have to wait like forever and hope the dude you're looking for is still there.
None of them were there, though.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, my first pick was, unfortunately, Le'Veon Bell. And, like, I say that with kind of a grain of salt because, like, obviously he's not going anywhere this year.
We know Bell's history, like, with fantasy stuff. I mean, the dude's a stud, but is he going to keep doing it? Yeah. Can he replicate what he did in Pittsburgh with the Jets?
See, what I'm real worried about is that dude took a year off of football. And sure, he may be, like, trained and physically able to do football. He hasn't gotten hit in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, but at the same time, look at AP. He had to take a year off because of his whole suspension thing for hitting his kid with a switch or whatever. And then he came back and looked like a fucking stud again.
Yeah.
That is true.
It's hard to say.
But he also outweighs Bell by a solid 60 pounds, if not more.
Oh, for sure. AP is definitely a more power back where you can still run people over after a year. And whereas Bell is a very shifty back, and you might lose some of your timing not playing for a year.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with Bell. The most interesting thing that happened in our draft when my buddy brought something up, like we were in the middle of the first round, and he's like, hey, nobody grab Andrew Luck. He literally just retired. And the three of us are sitting here like drafting. We're like, there's no way Luck retired. He's screwing with us. I look it up literally 30 minutes ago. They're like, Andrew Luck announces retirement.
Yeah, that may be the biggest surprise because, well, who expected Andrew Luck to retire literally a week before regular season starts?
Yeah,
not like that.
Screw over his team, by the way.
I mean, I
Maybe
understand.
not literally a week. I mean, I guess it's probably 2 weeks about, but like, there's one preseason game left.
Yeah.
Like, and he's one of the best well, I guess at this point was one of the best quarterbacks in the league when healthy.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. He's had injury problems, so, like, I understand his choice.
Yes,
but nobody saw it coming.
He went from being the most sacked quarterback to, like, one of the least because they fixed that line. Like, he looked good last year. He looked healthy, and I understand he said, like, mentally he can't do it anymore. And I get it. Like, it takes a toll. But, I mean, the dude, what was it, 2-3 years ago now, signed a huge contract?
I think that's right.
It wasn't long ago, but I can't remember how long
before
ago.
he got hurt.
Yeah.
So is that...
I think it was. His contract definitely isn't almost up, I don't think, by any means.
It still had a couple years on it.
Does he get that money, or do the...
He has
he
the
gets
guaranteed.
whatever is guaranteed out of it.
The rest of whatever was there...
It's got to be more than 50% then.
For sure. Most quarterbacks have a super highly guaranteed percentage.
Yeah. But that they also already got to begin with. Like, that much, they're pretty much like, here's your check. And the rest of it's like, as you play, here's the rest of your money.
But it also screws over anybody who picks cult-related, despite running backs. But
yeah,
which running tight ends? Well, yeah, I guess in the Colts offense scheme.
Because if the passing game ain't doing nothing, the defense is going to stuff the box because they know you got to try and run.
Yeah.
And that fucks over your run game, too.
Speaking of
the only thing it doesn't completely destroy is Adam Vinatieri's fantasy potential. Because it may honestly just raise it because they might get in field goal range a lot and never score. So Vinatieri comes out and kicks a shitload of field goals.
This is where I'm conflicted because I was that dummy. Even after learning Luck retired, I was like, oh, T.Y. Hilton's on the board. T.Y. Hilton's a stud. Drafted him. And then I was like, oh,
you didn't
crap.
Know it yet. You didn't know it yet.
No, we did.
You found it out after, I thought.
No,
we found out in the first round.
Before.
I looked at it.
Oh,
and then I went, crap. Luck retired. I don't know how this is going to go.
But as you said as well, Hilton's still a stud.
Yes.
So if anybody's going to have high production still in that offense, it's going to be him.
I also grabbed Vinatieri.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Vinatieri is fine still as a pick.
See,
so I'm not conflicted on him. It's just the fact that I was like, oh, I grabbed two Colts, and I'm real iffy on how one of them's going to do.
I don't know. Marlon Mack still might do good. Because if you remember, I don't know how long ago this was for y'all, but I remember when I started playing fantasy, I had MJD.
Oh, Maurice Jones-Drew.
I had him,
Yeah.
and he
Jaguars.
balled out for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
And they had absolutely nobody.
Yeah. So he was kind of like Steven Jackson for the Jaguars, because Steven Jackson balled out for the Rams, and that's why he didn't last for long, because he got the crap beat out of him.
Yeah, but Maurice Jones-Drew was a little bit better due to the fact that he was smaller and just huge.
Yeah,
Well,
he
yeah.
didn't have a long playing career either by
No.
any means.
Oh, no.
When you are one of those guys where you can, as a running back, when you put the team on your back and do what they did, your career is short.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at Jamal Charles as well.
Yeah.
The dude literally carried the Chiefs. He was the only good thing about that team for years, and injuries killed him.
Yeah.
He was, the last year he played, he was still a stud, but because of all the injuries, he couldn't get back to that form from the last knee injury.
Yeah. Overall, the draft, I felt like, went well. My team as a whole isn't bad.
There was one guy, though, who set an alarm at 8:30, told himself to look at the fantasy draft. Draft was at 9 o'clock. He's looking at the app at 8:30. 9 o'clock rolls around. He completely forgets about the draft. And we're over halfway through it. And he's just been auto-drafted.
Picked, one person all draft?
Yeah. Very last pick.
Yeah. Very last pick he had, he actually picked. Rest auto draft. Though, to be fair, his auto draft studs in wide receivers.
Yeah.
His
He
wide
couldn't
receiver
get better
game's on
at wide
point.
receiver game.
He's got
Michael Thomas,
Thomas,
Odell Beckham,
Beckham.
Jr., and Keenan Allen.
yeah.
His running backs,
He's got
are
four.
risky.
Yeah, they're risky. One of them because of injuries and how he's going to act. Leonard Fournette.
yeah.
If he does what he did last year, I'm iffy on the suspension stuff because he was an idiot last
I think
year.
Leonard Fournette's going to be all right this year. I'm
And
more
then-
questioning the second pick.
Josh Jacobs, who's the rookie dude for Oakland. And, I mean, again, in the draft, people were talking about how this was a great grab for Oakland. Like, this kid was highly touted, but he was at Alabama, wasn't he?
Josh Jacobs?
He may
I
have
don't
been.
remember where it was. He was like,
Look real quick.
I think he was at Alabama and didn't really do anything until his last year, but that's because he was so far back in the depth behind Derrick Henry and Bo Scarborough and this dude and that dude. And like,
And Kenyon Drake 1 year. Like
he just had too many guys in front of him that were studs as well because, well, it's Alabama and they like breed running backs at that school right now.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, the other problem is he's going, or I guess not going, but he's in Oakland.
Yeah.
Look at what that offense did last year. It was terrible.
But does he have a line? That's what matters for a running back is, does he have a line?
I know. And the year 2 years ago, Oakland had one of the best offensive lines.
Yeah.
And then for some reason last year, that line was nowhere near as good.
Maybe
And
something
they
just
pretty
wasn't
much
clicking.
had the same line.
Maybe things just didn't click. They might click again this year. Who knows?
Maybe. Oakland is a weird place to be right now, especially with all the AB nonsense going on.
Yeah. Speaking of that, one of the guys in our league, super risky. A lot of high risk, high reward draft. Like, if it pays off, phenomenal team. But we don't know. He's got Zeke, who right now is holding out.
Yeah. He may not hold out come regular season, but he might.
He said there's a possibility of holding out games. Not all season like people speculated, but his agent has been like, yes, we will hold out games if we need to.
Yeah.
All I need to do is hold out first game. I'm good.
He grabbed AB, who, again, super high risk, high reward because no one knows what's going on with the helmet drama. Like,
On top of his feet being
on
jacked
top
up
of the
because
feet.
he's a moron.
Yeah.
Oh, the frostbite thing?
Yeah. 'cause
Frostbit
he's
his
an
feet
idiot.
'cause
All
he
he
didn't
had
wear
to
the
do
right
was to wear
shoes.
shoes. And he didn't.
Yeah.
He's an idiot.
But with the helmet thing, like, when the NFL first told him no, he was like, okay. And then, like, a couple days later, he's like, nah, I'm still fighting it.
Yeah.
So, I don't really know what's going on with the helmet. I'm super confused on his stance with this.
Yeah.
Dude, he's turning into Chad Ochocinco and Terrell Owens. He's about to
He's
blackball
worse.
himself out
He's-
of the league.
He, I think, is worse than those. Those two got, like, super dramatic, like, with on-field celebrations and stuff. I don't think either of those two would have gone to this extent.
No.
It's a helmet.
Yeah.
Even Le'Veon Bell, who literally held out all of last year over a contract, was like, just wear the right helmet.
It's true.
No, I don't understand what's going on with AB. I'm pretty sure, as a lot of people have speculated, he's probably already got onset CTE. Like, the dude is going straight up nuts right now.
I think it was always in him.
Who said he had CTE?
I've seen, like, a lot of speculations that he's got it. I mean, how else do you explain the blonde mustache? Did you never see that?
I guess I missed that.
Straight up, I don't know if it still is, but at one point when he got to Oakland, he straight up dyed his mustache blonde.
Like OBJ blonde?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It was bad. It looked like he had a permanent milk mustache.
That just sounds terrible.
So, a lot of high risk, high reward on that end. He's also got some other guys.
By the way, Josh Jacobs was from Alabama.
Okay, he was. I thought he was a Bama product, but again, he's too far back in the depth to know. Those two are definitely the highest risk. Devonta Freeman, another one. Kind of risky. The dude has been injury prone. If he stays healthy.
Prone. He got injured hard last year.
Okay. He got super injured, so it's hard to say if he comes back the same. The rest of them aren't bad. Some of the bench stuff is questionable, but it's your bench. You can finagle things on that if you have to. Starting lineup, mostly Zeke and AB. Those two, super high risk, high reward.
Yeah. I don't think Antonio Brown's going to be worth it.
I
don't even know if he'll
find
play.
out.
That's why it's high risk.
Play.
But if he does, and he's his usual self, and Derek Carr can just
he basically
be terrible.
He took the same approach on these two that I did with Bell last year. Because I took Le'Veon Bell, my first pick last year. I grabbed Bell. I knew he was holding out, but I was like, if he comes back, I just stole that. Because he was like the second highest dude in there. And I got him like 5th or 6th overall. And I was like, if he comes back, I just stole him.
Didn't I tell you not to take him last year?
You wouldn't have stole him.
Okay, fair enough.
It wasn't late enough to be considered.
No, you were the second pick. I picked Todd Gurley first.
I wasn't second, dude. I was in the middle last year.
Who was second then? Was that you? Anyway.
I don't know who.
I thought I told you not
either
to
way,
take him. No.
Either way,
you might have told me
even
not
close
to
late enough to be a steal.
Okay. He still took the same approach I did, looking at him going, if they play, this is great. Last year, it bit me in the butt hard, but one, we know Zeke isn't going to hold out all year. So if he's able to like piece it together until Zeke comes back, okay.
He's okay there.
Brown is the one
you can't say that Zeke may not hold out all year.
His manager
doesn't seem like he's going to. Yeah. He hasn't threatened to. Whereas Bell was literally like, if you don't give me what I want, I'm not playing all year.
That is true.
Zeke's like,
also,
I'll hold out, but I won't hold out.
The thing with Zeke,
time.
if he does happen to hold out all year, it doesn't change anything for him contract status-wise. He would still have 2 years left, so holding out for a full year doesn't help him.
Whereas Bell literally was on his last potential franchise tag.
Well, he could technically hold out for 8 weeks.
He could hold out for like half the season, but if he's able to piece together like running backs for long enough, it's okay. If he can piece it together long enough to make playoffs and then have him come back, phenomenal.
Which brings us to a point, I'm really surprised no one in our league picked up Alfred Morris.
Nobody grabbed Tony Pollard either. Nobody grabbed either backup.
I'm like really surprised about
that. I might have to look into that. Holy crap. Yeah, neither one was rated high enough for me to even notice, though.
That's true. They were nowhere.
They weren't even in the top 200.
Yeah. No.
But kind of like they were saying, too, though, with Tony Pollard, is like, or at least what Stephen A. Smith was saying, it's like, yeah, the dude's been great so far. But he's been playing against, like, second and third string defenses. What's he going to do against a first string defense?
I mean, he's been starting with our team, and I thought a lot of times starters on defense even were in.
But how long has he been, like, how long does he stay and play and rack up his stats against the second and third team defense? Like, is he staying out there a lot longer than just the first team of offense? And he doesn't do great against the first string defense, and then he starts racking stuff up against second and third string. Plus, again,
well, that could be the plan anyway. That could be the plan anyways. Like, let him get the experience because he has the potential to do it against the first string.
Yeah. But also, it's preseason. Like, how serious are most of these first stringers even taking it? They're like, I'm not going to risk getting hurt during preseason.
That's true.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, though. I mean, no one grabbed him, though, so, I mean, they're still ripe for the picking if he doesn't play week 1.
Well, although someone did jump on the whole Lamar Miller's back up.
Oh, Duke Johnson? No.
No, it was me.
Yeah, you grab. Yeah, if y'all also hadn't been paying attention to preseason, Lamar Miller today, August 24th, in the preseason, first quarter against the Cowboys, tore the ACL, so he's out for the year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I picked up his backup.
Yeah.
That's why if you're doing a draft, do it late into the preseason so you know this stuff coming in.
Well,
Yeah.
I set up the draft as late as I could because I have another one next week, and that's like my big one. That's for
dude, you're
$210, and my
Week 3 is late enough
Hopefully
that
to keep my
you at least
championship
have
up.
a decent
Week 3 is
idea.
late enough.
Yeah, week 3, you've had enough time to watch some dark horse rookies, and you've had enough time that hopefully no one gets hurt. And if you do it late in the day, if they get hurt in the 3rd week of preseason, you know about it then, and you're just hopeful no one does it in week 4.
although
Whereas my other league is a dynasty one, so we're just drafting rookies this year. Past couple years, it was real late into preseason, so I could base my rookie picks off of what happened in preseason. Who made the most with the opportunities they were given. This year, we did it the week of preseason week 1, so I had nothing to go on. Literally nothing.
Who'd you pick?
For my rookies,
Yeah.
my first pick, which I had the last pick of the first round, I was able to somehow get Kyler Murray.
Wow.
Which
Little
is what I
football,
needed
baby.
for an early pick. Because honestly, my running backs are stacked. My receivers are stacked. My tight ends are stacked. I have a great quarterback in Drew Brees, but I don't have a young one.
Well,
And that's
he
what I
might
needed.
retire after this year anyway.
Yeah, I needed a young quarterback I could count on
Yeah.
if Drew Brees retires soon. Because my receivers, I'm not worried about any of them retiring anytime
Did
soon.
anyone pick up
I
Metcalf?
thought you had
No.
Larry in there.
I do, but he's not one of my starters
Oh.
at this point. So
Gotcha.
everywhere is good because a couple years ago when George Kittle was a rookie coming in, he was my last pick of that year's rookie draft. I was like,
wow.
I don't know who this guy is. He's way down here on the list. Just give me that guy. And he is a stud now.
Yeah.
So it was a glorious pickup. I did the same thing this year with my last pick. I scrolled as far as the page would go, and I said, give me that guy.
I mean, to be fair, how many rounds did you have?
5.
Okay, yeah. To be fair,
You can't do
after
more than that. Because after
Yeah.
like 3 rounds, it's like, who the hell you take as a rookie? There's 30 rookies gone already.
yeah, no, I'm not saying you should have a lot, but yeah, I get you. At that point, like anybody you grab could easily be cut in no time. So why not take the last dude and hope it pans out?
For sure.
I mean, shoot, if I was doing a dynasty one, I probably would have grabbed Darian Sheshi Giuseppe.
I don't think he was on there.
Oh man, I would have grabbed
I don't know
him.
if he was with Cleveland early enough for like
Oh, for it to pick up
to
on
pick
him.
it up. Yeah.
If you don't know who I'm talking about, dude didn't play D1 college, didn't have any NFL stuff like ever, wasn't invited to the draft, never had any like kind of prospect, snuck his way onto the Browns like
He talked
practice.
his way
He
off
talked his
it.
way into the practice.
He talked his way into like an invite only practice for the Browns and got a contract with them. It's a
And his
short one.
First preseason game returned a kickoff for a touchdown.
Punt.
A punt. Whatever. It was still a long one.
Yeah. It was impressive. So I would have grabbed the dude. Honestly, I might later this year see
That's
how he
probably
does.
what they thought. It's like, this dude's good enough to talk his way into here. Let's give him a shot.
Yeah. Dude hasn't looked too bad. I mean, he hasn't had a lot of action either, but I mean, he's way down the depth. But I feel like that was enough for him to make a case on, hey, you should let me keep my job as like a deep dude.
I think
Oh, yeah. Special teams person by far.
Where I took George Kittle, I think one of the only guys further down the list than him was like Jeremy Sprinkle, who I think is a tight end for Washington.
Huh.
But, I think George Kittle was one or two people listed above him. I was like, well, I don't want the last guy, but I'll take this other guy.
Yeah. Overall, I'm...
Okay, who's your...
Mostly because I didn't want a guy named Sprinkle.
To go through, we're going to go through rosters real quick. My roster, starting, I have Baker Mayfield. Pretty happy with him. James Conner and Chris Carson for my running backs. Again, not bad, especially with what's developing in Seattle for Carson, so I'm happy with him. I got Julio and T.Y. for my starting wide receivers. Julio is Julio, and it's hard to say. Some weeks he'll go off, and some weeks it depends what Matt Ryan decides to do.
Most weeks he'll do good for you.
Yeah, he's usually consistent. It just seems how far.
Is he going to get a touchdown?
Yeah, because that's why I picked up his second wide receiver, Calvin Ridley, is because he's the touchdown guy.
Yeah,
T.Y.
Julio might put up 200 yards, no touchdowns. Happens all the time for him because for some reason, him and Matt Ryan can't find a red zone connection.
It's not that. He gets triple teamed in the end zone.
That doesn't help matters.
No. But he might be opened up more now that they've got Calvin Ridley there. And do they still have Mohamed Sanu?
No.
Okay.
It's Calvin Ridley's the clear number 2 after last season.
Well, either way, I got Julio and T.Y. T.Y. already talked about being somewhat iffy on, but if anyone's going to still be productive without Andrew Luck, it'd be T.Y. Hill.
Hey, you know what? I bet you could trade a running back to auto pick.
I don't know. I'm happy with my running backs. I like James Conner and Chris Carson. I like those two. Tight end, I got David Njoku, who right now has some injury things going on, but with Baker and everything else going on, Cleveland still feel good about him because he killed it last year after Freddie Kitchens took over.
That you had the option to have a double hit too, because if Njoku gets a touchdown, so does Baker.
Yeah.
So that's always a plus to have.
Unless he somehow runs it.
Yeah.
That's true, but
I got Mike Williams for my flex, who is a good number 2 in L.A., and if Keenan Allen gets hurt again, awesome.
Yeah.
Got the Jags.
Keenan Allen's prone to get hurt. He's hurt almost every year.
Keenan Allen is prone to it, and Mike Williams at the end of the year came on strong. So
yeah, beat KC.
Happy with him. The Jags defense, if it shows up like it did 2 years ago, which most of those core pieces are still there, happy with them.
Not week 1, you're not.
Week 1, I'm not, but week 1...
Week 1, he is not playing them.
Anybody who would be playing Kansas City, I wouldn't like that defense because, Kansas City says, you have a defense, I don't care.
It's like, oh, we got Mahomes.
Yeah. Honestly,
as long as Mahomes is like he was last year, he may struggle in the first half. Second half, watch out.
Yeah.
And then
they don't struggle for a whole game.
I grabbed Vinatieri for my starting kicker. Again, Vinny's the GOAT. I'll always grab Vinny if he's available. Unless, I'm being the first one to grab a kicker, and then I'm going Tucker. But for now...
Ironically,
Vinny.
you and your friend did the same thing right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're taking Justin Tucker. Yeah.
Since this is a fantasy podcast, don't pick a kicker within the first 10 rounds of a draft.
Or a defense.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
And don't grab a quarterback in the first 4 rounds.
My bench right now, I've got 2 running backs. I've got Eckler because we don't know what's happening with Melvin Gordon. He pretty much has told him, I'm not playing for you. So if he doesn't, Eckler's the clear one there. I got Darius Geis with Washington, who is supposed to be a stud. We'll see what happens. He's coming off an injury. I grabbed, for wide receivers, I've got 3 of them on there. I grabbed Will Fuller again because when he's healthy, the dude is amazing. The problem is staying healthy.
And he's the number 2 option out of Houston.
Yeah, that's why he's him and DeAndre.
Still in Houston?
Yeah, he's still in Houston. Houston hasn't given up on him yet because when he's healthy, him and DeAndre are the scariest 1-2 punch.
They were going to, but Demaryius Thomas didn't play out for him like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because he got hurt right after he got there, didn't they?
Yep.
Got Jamison Crowder with the Jets, who we'll see what happens with Sam Darnold. Again, he's a bench dude. If he doesn't pan out, I can always toss him.
I'm not sold on him yet either.
And I got Marquez.
Yeah.
I got Marquez Valdez-Scantling for my third bench receiver who, I don't know, I needed a dude late. He was my last pick. I figure he's with Aaron Rodgers. We'll see what happens. If they start connecting, awesome. If not, well, he was the last dude I picked, so I grabbed a backup QB in Phillip Rivers. Feel like he's a solid backup behind Baker, or maybe starter over Baker, depends on the week. And then I grabbed a backup tight end. If you paid any attention to Iowa, I grabbed TJ Hawkinson. Dude was killing it.
That's your dark horse, isn't it? DJ Hawkinson?
I feel like I've got a couple in there depending how things pan out, but he's probably like the biggest dark horse because I think he's the starting tight end, and if he does what he...
Where's he at?
Detroit.
Okay. He's got to take over for Ebron for one.
I thought Ebron was in Indy, or he go back to Detroit.
Oh, yeah, no, he's in Indy, sorry.
Or is he even still in Indy?
Yeah, he's still in Indy.
Okay. Yeah, Ebron was in Indy.
I don't know Detroit's tight end last year.
I don't know who it was, but I think Hawkinson is their number one because he was their first-round pick.
I can't think of who it was.
We can't think of who it was. It's because he wasn't worth remembering.
Yeah. That's my lineup. Alex, who you got?
All right. I got my quarterback, Drew Brees. I got my two running backs, Le'Veon Bell, Joe Nixon. In my running back slots, I got Amari Cooper. And then I got my first dark horse pick, DJ Moore for Carolina.
Oh, he's one of your starting wide receivers?
He's one of my starting wide receivers.
All right.
Well, he's dark horse. Cam Newton, obviously, he's going to be a
we'll see what happens.
quarterback.
Yeah.
He's also hurt right now, too. Just
All
went
right.
out, Thursday, I think. But who else is he going to throw the ball to? Greg Olson's finally back. But what other wide receivers you got there?
You're not wrong.
DJ Moore didn't get to play
Christian
last year
McCaffrey.
because of the preseason injury.
Yeah,
but even then, that's a short game.
So it might not be that dark horse, honestly. Who you got for tight end?
Not my greatest pick. I got Jared Cook recently from Oakland to New Orleans. So me and you kind of got that tight end quarterback option.
Upgrade.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it is an upgrade because I don't think Oakland used him properly.
No.
Let's see. My flex is Damian Williams from KC.
Good choice.
And then my defense is Chargers and special teams. And then I got Fairburn as my kicker.
Cammy Fairbairn, Houston kicker. Who you got on your bench?
Let's see. My bench, I got Calvin Ridley, Duke Johnson Jr., Tavius Murray, Austin Hooper, Sutton from Denver, and then Kyler Murray, and then the dude from KC, wide receiver.
Darwin Thompson.
No.
No.
Cole Hardman.
That one, Hardman.
Mecole Hardman. Another speedy dude.
Oh, yeah. Potentially Tyreek Hill's replacement.
He's not going to replace him.
I don't think he will, but I think that's what they were thinking.
No.
With all that stuff that went down.
Yeah.
They had
but
that
now,
potential replacement.
Now they just have another fast dude. Justin, who you got?
Starting quarterback is Russell Wilson. I've got Alvin Kamara and Nick Chubb in my running back slots, which I feel real good about them too. I got Juju Smith-Schuster and Cooper Kupp as my receivers. Hunter Henry for my tight end. Aaron Jones is my flex. Kind of took a chance on that. And Green Bay, they haven't had great running game lately, but we'll see what happens.
He did okay last year.
Yeah,
he had times
came into his own, but we'll see if it pans out. Defense is Cleveland because they're a kind of sleeper good defense. My kicker is Jake Elliott because he's a stud for Philly. On my bench, I took a chance because he was still there way late and grabbed AJ Green because if he comes back and is his usual self, I just struck gold.
Yeah.
Because,
I was looking at possibly grabbing him if he was available somewhat later.
I drafted him 61st overall. Like, there's no reason, aside from him being hurt, he should ever be drafted that late. Like, the dude's too good. I got Emmanuel Sanders real late, too. He's coming back from injury, so that's risky as well.
But again, another late pick that, if it pans out, solid.
Yeah. Took a gamble on an Eagles running back. Because it's a toss-up on right now between two of them who's the starting one, and I went with Miles Sanders because he was Saquon's replacement in Penn State, so could be great, could not be great. It depends what happens with Jordan Howard over there.
Yeah.
I grabbed Greg Olsen as a backup tight end.
As a backup.
Yeah. Big Ben's my backup quarterback, which I don't understand that one either.
Yeah, he was on there way longer than I expected him to be.
Well, I have a feeling this might be his last year, too.
Again, he's consistent at home. Don't play him if he's on the road. I made that mistake one year. He sucks on the road.
Potential big dark horse pick wasn't DK Metcalf. I mean, I grabbed him real late, but
if you've
way
seen
that
the
man
dude,
is built, and
he's the biggest wide receiver in the league, isn't he?
Yeah, he's built like a tight end, but
he's got the speed of a receiver.
All of the measurables to be a stud, and if he is,
the dude has
struck gold right there.
He's got how low of a percentage of body fat?
Oh, it's low.
They couldn't measure it.
No, they could. It was like 2% or something. It's low.
If you didn't pay attention to the draft, this dude is like ripped to no.
That's Ole Miss, right? Metcalf?
Yes.
Yeah.
This dude is ripped beyond like any football player I've ever seen. He's scary.
In my last pick, I took a gamble on former Chiefs receiver Chris Conley, now with Jacksonville, because, well, aside from D.D. Westbrook, they ain't really got much as far as receivers.
Honestly, I think that's
Nick
a
Foles
good
got to
pick.
throw to somebody.
Foles has got to throw it to somebody other than Westbrook. And honestly, Conley was good for us.
Yeah, he was a good number 3.
He wasn't a liability. He was somebody we could afford to let go.
Yeah,
he was
especially
he was just
getting
stuck
Mecole
in that
Hardman
spot where we had so much talent at receiver spots. We could afford to just let him go when his rookie contract came up.
See, me and you look at it a little different. I wish we would have got rid of Sammy Watkins and kept Conley.
But his contract wasn't up. We would have had to find a trade for him.
Yeah, for
We
Sammy.
couldn't afford to cut him because we'd be stuck with too much dead money.
That's true.
Whereas Conley's contract was just up, and it was like he was expendable. That's what I was trying to come up with. He was an expendable option because his contract was up. There's no dead money lost in it. We could just let him go in free agency.
I know, but me as a person I see more
agree.
talented, I think Conley's a better keep than Sammy Watkins.
Sammy, I think, is more talented.
Sammy's got the potential to come back and be what he was in Buffalo his first couple years.
But he hasn't done anything since Clemson.
He did good in Buffalo. No,
he got hurt.
He
got hurt his third game in. It hadn't been the same since.
He's good. No, Sammy has still been good. The problem is he can't stay on the field long enough to show that he is still good.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
He still has the same gifts that he had at Clemson. The dude is still a phenomenal receiver, but he's super injury prone.
Yeah.
And they're not always even big ones. It's just like, oh, I'm going to be out for 3 or 4 games, come back for 2. Oh, I'm going to be out for another 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
It's never major injuries, but they're ones that keep him out for a little bit, and then he plays for a little bit, and then he's out for a little bit.
Yeah,
dude, I will say I caught turf toe last week, and I've always downed people for it's just turf toe. Your toe hurts. Suck it up, dude. It really hurts. I'm not gonna lie.
And speaking of Clemson receivers who are injury prone, I'm surprised that Mike Williams isn't, considering before his senior season in Clemson, his junior year, he didn't play because he broke his neck.
Whoa.
How do you not have more? This dude broke his neck, came back, and was a stud for him for that championship.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been hurt yet, really, in the NFL. I mean, he had some minor kind of injuries.
He missed his first season.
Oh, you're right. He did miss his first
because last year was basically his first season.
They said it was technically his rookie season.
Yeah, last year was basically his rookie season because he didn't play his rookie season.
That's true. Okay,
so he's a year behind.
But he's just on the same size perspective as DK Metcalf.
But he's not as ripped.
Oh God, no.
I'd say he's more comparable to Sammy.
Yeah,
he's got the same size. He plays real similar. And they came both out of Clemson. I mean, they came out of the same system.
Speaking of Clemson wide receivers, did Hunter Renfrow get drafted?
No.
Not in our league.
Not fantasy. I meant
yes.
Okay, he did.
Pretty sure he did, but I think it was way late.
I know people talked about how good he was, but I wasn't actually sure if he got drafted.
Well,
clutch when they needed him.
Also, speaking of Clemson, we were up in Columbia earlier today, and man, they're doing a big promo push for Kelly Bryant.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Huge promo
Even though they
push.
can't make playoffs, but
No, the appeal hasn't come back yet.
I'm not getting into it.
Okay.
That's a whole nother can of worms I don't want to open. But now, if you are a fantasy person, couple tips. One, in the first round, either running back or wide receiver, depends what's going fast. Because
Yes, Hunter Renfrow, by the way, was drafted. He was drafted in the 5th round.
By who?
Oakland.
Ooh, that could be a sleeper for them.
Could be, potentially.
Could be great slot receiver for Oakland.
Yeah, you pair him and AB up, that could be a good combo.
Could be.
Yeah, get the crazy in the stable.
Fair enough on that.
Hunter Renfrow's not crazy by any means.
No, but yeah, if running backs are going quick, grab a running back because you don't want to get screwed.
Well, for this year's draft, particularly grab a running back.
Yeah,
My
there's a lot
God.
of guys that are iffy and a lot of teams that are using running back by committee. So there's not a lot of true number one running backs right now.
Yeah.
Receivers, you can always grab some okay guys a little bit later that can do decent. But, obviously, if you're like one of the top 5, say you're top 5 in a 10-person league, well, at that point, it's hard to read it. So either one, wide receiver or running back, grab either one, you're fine.
Yeah, like if you were me this year, I was 6. So I was in the middle, but I was also past the middle. So I had to read where the draft was going. And then even in this draft, it even got weird.
Yeah, we had some weird picks.
Dude, I've had 2 drafts this year go weird on me real fast.
Don't ever grab a quarterback in, like, the super early rounds.
Caveat. If you're in a regular draft. If you're in a PPR, I excuse
Even in a regular one, you need that.
You need 2 good running backs and you need 2 good receivers.
But I'm saying in a PPR league, it's more excusable if you grab a quarterback early.
Is it?
In my opinion, it is.
I think it's even worse because then you can grab more guys that you're like, you can grab
PPR,
more
you
James
can make
White
it-
guys.
James
PPR,
White, but that's a late round running back in a regular league.
PPR,
So-
you
Yeah,
can
but
make it
PPR
work a little bit more because again.
Oh, because you
the
can get
receptions.
those later
Yeah.
guys.
You can
Gotcha.
get those later guys that may not get all the yardage, but they'll catch it a ton.
Like
James White.
James White, Darren Sproles, Austin Eckler.
When they
Well,
were
possibly
all
old
back up.
Austin Eckler. We'll see what happens
Yeah,
there.
we'll see what happens now with him, but I'm trying to think of other wide receivers that catch the ball more.
A lot of slot receivers like Julian Edelman.
Julian Edelman,
Yeah.
Danny
That's where-
A ton
Amendola.
of yards.
Well,
but
that's
he'll
where
catch it like
Jarvis
10
would
times
come
a
in more
game.
handy.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry would be up there.
Yeah, because like Edelman might not put up over 100 yards, but he'll catch it 10 times.
Yeah.
So there's your point.
He'll make that 100 yards, though.
So in standard league, I wouldn't grab a quarterback before what? Round 5, 6 at the earliest?
I don't think I picked mine till like 9 this
Oh,
year.
yeah, I was
yeah,
late
we
in
were
mine
I was
even.
super late, and I got Drew Brees, and I was
Now
super
had,
happy
like-
with it.
We had 2 quarterbacks go
if
quick.
Mahomes was there in like the 5th or 6th round, I would have grabbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's more like your draft style, though. At that point, if you're a seasoned person, that's a gamble. But you can take that bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got like a dude like Patrick Mahomes, who everyone is expecting to do what he did again last year, I understand maybe grabbing him 5 or 6.
A little early.
But we had somebody grabbing what, round 3? 2? 2. Round 2 they grabbed a quarterback.
Dumbest decision you can make.
Don't grab one that early. There's too many okay quarterbacks.
Do not ever draft a defense or kicker in the first 10 rounds.
Yeah, that was the other thing we were
Because
getting
that
to.
worst case scenario, you do
You stream a defense every
you
week.
stream it every week.
Yeah,
like,
honestly, you
it's
stream
not
both.
hard.
Just look at like
Look at matchups. The
Well-
offensive matchup for your kicker, because if the offensive matchup isn't great, but it's not just god awful, he's probably going to get a lot of field goal opportunity.
Yeah.
Defense, look at who the heck they're playing. If that offense sucks, grab that defense.
or if they're playing the Chiefs, drop them.
Yeah.
Chiefs,
But, like,
Rams,
If they're playing
New Orleans, Patriots.
Yeah.
if they're playing like the Giants and the Giants are still playing Eli, pick that defense up.
Yes.
There's
But I will throw in a
Yeah, you could
caveat to
stream
that quarterback
kickers and
situation,
defense.
though. If you have a late round, if you're a late round draft pick, say you're in a 14-team league,
If it's a big league,
if it's a big league,
You've
and you
gotta
got to pick the points at that point. You're
Yes.
not going to get a
No.
running back that's going to get you enough points to get that first
No,
round
yeah,
pick.
no.
Yeah.
I understand, like, in a huge league,
standard 10-team league.
yeah. If
is
you're in
what
a
we're talking
huge
about
league,
here.
one, find a new league because you're stretching thin on every aspect at that point.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost not even worth it. Two, then I understand some weird picks early because, well, you need all the
Gotta
points you
make
can
weird
get.
picks in them big leagues.
Yeah, because I'm in a big league draft coming up, and it's one that I've had to strategize with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some weird stuff. I mean, I would say don't pay for fantasy, but I know both of you do because, well, sometimes it's fun.
Well, yeah.
So,
You have the potential of winning a bunch of money.
yeah.
For instance, I won $120 last year.
And you
Yeah.
have the potential of winning one of these.
Yeah. Alex also won, like, a straight-up WWE-looking championship belt. And it's actually, like, pretty heavy-duty stuff. You can win some cool stuff in, like, pay leagues, but it depends how invested you want to get. This is the only league I'm in, and I still get too invested in it, and I don't even have any stakes.
Yeah, but that league I'm in, I won the belt in, though. It's been going on since I was in high school. So,
Oh, well.
it's been a very long league.
Yeah.
Which, again,
That's one that I feel like you should have made a dynasty by now. Because imagine being in a dynasty league for that long and all the turnover and changes you could have made.
We haven't had the same people in it. That's the problem.
you've had some of people drop.
We've had,
I
like,
get that,
the
but,
core
like-
5 have been in it, but, like, we've added people, and then other people have had to drop. So,
Yeah.
like, that's the issue. And I'm also not
Yeah.
the league manager in that league either.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, with the one dynasty league I'm in, we've had one guy drop since we started. We've only been doing it for, like, 4 years now. And we've had one guy drop and one new guy join. Well, the guy that took over literally just took that guy's team over. Had to build it from whatever he had. Which, granted, he had a good core foundation for that team.
Yeah.
But
At that point, he basically just had to build it like the rest of you and hope you get some good
Yeah.
rookies.
or make some dang good trades.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want, I can mention probably the most lopsided trade we've had yet in that league.
Dude, go for it.
Do it, because I got some
'Cause
trade stories.
There's
for you.
some weird trades out there that happen. I've seen people
I'm not
ask,
saying
like,
crazy trade. I'm saying lopsided.
oh, yeah, I've
So,
seen some
it
people
was a
ask
trade I
about
pulled off.
stuff.
I traded Dak Prescott in a third-round pick for Alvin Kamara and Adam Thielen.
Oh, that was the most lopsided. You've told me about that one.
Like,
What?
Yeah. Well, this was
How
was
did
this
the other members let that go through?
was this
This was
Prescott's
the
rookie
year-
year?
that it may have been Dak's rookie year.
It was his
Yeah.
rookie year. He was looking hot, and Thielen wasn't hot yet.
Yeah, it was. It had to be.
So at the time, it probably looked okay.
Yeah, that was early in the second year for Dak, and he was still looking fairly good.
And Thielen still hadn't been
And
like.
Thielen still wasn't doing much, and Kamara was coming into his own. What I really needed was a running back at that point. That's why I was throwing the trade option out. And Thielen wasn't the stud he is now yet.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, okay. And, like, Dak looked like he could be great.
At the time, the trade made sense.
Since then, I clearly won that trade.
Yeah.
No question.
Well, as long as Kirk Cousins doesn't screw things up like he did last year.
Or what he got with that third-round pick.
I don't remember. But still, when you're just doing rookies, third round,
You're starting to get a little thin.
Yeah.
you're stretching. I don't remember who he took that year.
Thielen
for,
is still
but-
good. I'm not trying to say it with the whole Kirk Cousins comment, but I had Thielen last year. First, 10 games, amazing. After that, Kirk Cousins is like, wait, who's Adam Thielen?
Yeah. Dude, it was so frustrating.
He just went to Diggs. He
I was fine with it because I had
no,
Diggs.
that was the thing, though, is he picked one receiver to go to, and then, halfway through the season, he switched.
Sort of. Because, Thielen would have games early where it was he's doing nothing. And then fourth quarter, all of a sudden, he gets 6 consecutive balls thrown to him. And
Or-
we're like, what just happened?
Well, or you have, I did with Michael Thomas last year when the Saints were playing. There was one game, first half, he killed it. Already beat his projection. Second half, didn't even touch it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem with New Orleans, though, is that unless you have Drew Brees, he can throw it to literally anyone.
I know, but Michael Thomas is a stud, and he throws it to him a lot. The fact that
Michael Thomas
stopped,
is obviously the number one option.
The fact that he stopped throwing it to Thomas is what baffled me. I was like, what happened?
Because he didn't need to.
You're not wrong, but it still sucked. Because I was like, oh, I'm going to kill it this week, and then production just stalled.
Bad? A few years ago, when I was just joining random leagues on...
Oh.
I had Aaron Rodgers as my starting quarterback. He threw 4 touchdowns in the first half of the game.
Yep.
And then they benched him at halftime.
Because they were so
far. I was like...
I remember that
what?
game. It was up against Detroit. Because they were Rodgers has the chance to break the most touchdown passes in a single game. And then the Packers were like, oh, we're up by a crap ton, so...
Yeah, they just benched him. It wasn't that he didn't do it. They just were like, no, we're good. And I'm like...
Better than what happened to me last year. First game. Aaron Rodgers goes out with a knee injury.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, but at least it wasn't
he was
killing it, and then you just lose all that production where you're like,
true.
oh, it looks like I'm going to do amazing, and then nothing.
Here's another fancy tip. If you see people doing trade...
if you're the
people that like to say, hey, I'll give you this guy this week, and you give me him back next week, I'm going to ban that every time.
Yeah. If you're the commissioner, you should probably ban it. If you're not the commissioner, bring that crap up because that's bogus.
Yeah. It happened 2 years ago in our pay league. And that's a pay league. There's money on the line.
Yeah.
And they started doing that crap. It lasted 1 week and we caught on to it.
Yep.
And it was done after that. So whoever got the crappy player after that, they immediately got him.
Don't trade people back and forth. If you're going to trade somebody, be like, okay, well, I'm doing okay. I've talked to Justin before about some trade stuff in our league. And I mean,
there was one a few years ago. We were in a league with our cousin. And I think you made playoffs. I didn't. But I had a couple stud players. And had you realized the trade deadline, I was going to just give you my best players so that you would have the best chance at the freaking championship.
Which is also very shitty in the same reason.
Yeah, but it wasn't like we were trying to...
the guys in that league, and the ones we did know other than our cousin, we don't really like that much. So we were like, however we can beat them, we'll do it.
Well, and our cousin probably wasn't going to stop it. It was a single-season league where nothing was on the line, no money or anything.
Yeah, it wasn't paid league or nothing.
The reason Justin was looking at it that way, too, is because that was, third league you were in that year, so you didn't even care?
It may have been the fourth that year.
Was that the fourth that year? I don't know.
It was the third or fourth.
Either way,
so
it was a lot that year. You're still in 3 now,
no,
anyway.
Just in 2 now.
Oh, just 2 now?
The other one was a paid league as well, and being I'm not in Kansas City anymore, it's a little harder to get the money to them.
Okay. The other one's more consistent, I guess.
What?
Is your dynasty paid?
Yes.
Okay, so that one's just
more... But that's live draft, so
oh, you have to go to them anyways.
Yeah, I gotta go to them anyways.
Okay.
See, I want to do that so bad.
We want to do live draft here, but too many people don't live near us.
Plus, because of the fact that I won the 120 last year, I told the commissioner, give me 100 and keep the other 20 for my dues for the next year.
That's a smart way to do it.
So then I didn't have to pay him. I was like, you already got my money. I could have just told him to keep all 120 and covered 6 years worth of fees, but I was like, no, give me $100. I want $100 right now.
Yeah. Dude, another thing happened to me my first year playing. I was obviously green. I didn't know what was going on. Well, I made it to the freaking playoffs.
Oh.
And during the playoffs, everyone was
year.
throwing a fit because I didn't catch on to this. One of our people that was in our league dropped his starting lineup.
Wait, he just dropped everybody?
To waiver wires. And I didn't catch it. But, one of the messages I got, they text me, and it was like, hey, no one pick up, enlisted the players. And I was like, why can't we pick up these players? They're good. And he finally, told me, it was because one of the other people that didn't make the playoffs just dropped their team.
Oh.
Completely.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't be that guy that is that salty about not making playoffs.
Yeah. Now,
You could still
Cody's-
consolation it.
Cody's buddy Racing that we mentioned earlier won the whole thing his first year. That's because Cody essentially picked his team. Now, keep in mind, if you're bringing a friend in that's brand new to it, by all means, help them draft because they have no idea what's going on.
If they've never done anything fantasy or really pay attention to football that hard, yeah, help them. Yeah. Justin helped me my first year.
Yeah, by all means, help them. But Cody essentially picked Rayson's team, and Rayson won the whole thing. I took second. He was literally the only guy all season I lost to. I lost to him both times in the regular season and for the championship.
Yeah, I'm still salty about that. I mean, it was nice that I helped pick the team, but like I was super ecstatic about my team in week one. Again, every year I have an amazing week one, and then my team drops every year. They just stop doing anything. And again, had a phenomenal team, and every year I look at my team, I'm like, these guys should be putting up better numbers. What the heck's going on? Same thing happened that year, but Rayson was like, yo, I'm killing it.
You think that's bad? My dynasty team.
I know, you've told me about this.
I win I think in the first 10 games I went 9-1. Because, keep in mind, my team hasn't changed that much over the 4 years so far. Went 9-1 the start of the first year. Second year, after the 9-1 start, lost out the season. The start of the second season, I go 0-8. At one point, no, that was probably either way, at one point, I technically had more consecutive losses than the Browns because they had won again before I did.
Oh, that's
and my
rough.
team barely changed, but for some reason, nobody was doing anything. Julio was putting up 10 points.
That's Julio for you, though.
What happened?
Yeah, if you draft Julio Jones, just remember, he doesn't do touchdowns.
Yeah.
Until he decides to, you know, when he put up 300 yards and a touchdown one game.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. The start of the first year, it looked like I was going to lose one of my matchups. And then out of nowhere, Julio puts up 10 catches for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I just blew the guy out of the water.
Was that at the end of the season?
Dude, no, that was early.
That's
okay, it wasn't quite that productive.
It's 37 points.
This is PPR league.
So that's almost
40,
50,
points.
yeah.
Yeah, he put up almost 50. I looked like I was going to lose, and then all of a sudden I didn't.
And for people who don't know, PPR stands for points per reception. Yeah. It's a half a point per every reception.
No, it's 1 full point.
Yeah, it's 1 point.
Oh, it's 1 full point? I played the one
PPR
PPR league I played, it was half a point.
Most of them is a full point per reception.
Anyway, have fun with your drafts. If you haven't drafted already, hopefully you have because the season's coming up here soon, especially by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
Date this. It's 2 Sundays away if anyone wanted to know.
Yeah. So, if you haven't drafted, well, there's some issues there. If you have drafted, hope your draft went well. Hope everybody's seasons go phenomenal. Let us know what your rosters look like. We'd love to look at them comparatively. And I think that's pretty much all we got because we've been talking about fantasy football for an hour now.
If you haven't drafted, use our tips. Do it.
Yeah. If you haven't drafted, use the tips. If you have and you did some of the things we said not to do, use those next year because they're not just our tips. Those are professional dudes' tips.
Also, look into the experts sleepers and stuff. Don't take it too seriously because they're all opinion-based in what they think they're going to do. But definitely look into it.
Their stardom, their sit-em, and their sleepers.
And honestly, it's just going to take you time to watch football, and you can catch on people who are going to do good or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Essentially, just watch every football game ever.
As much as you can.
Yeah.
Because you'll pick up who's coming into their own.
Watch
and who's
Thursday
not.
Night Football if you can. Watch all 4 games on Sunday if you can.
If you have NFL Sunday ticket,
Every game.
watch every game.
For those of you that don't have that, though, there's 4 on Sunday. If you happen to have ESPN, watch Monday, too. So that's 6 games a week you can watch. unless you have Sunday ticket, and then just watch everything because
obviously you're going to watch your team's game whenever they're on and just kind of glance at the other ones, but keep an eye on them all.
Yeah.
And definitely get some kind of app, whether it's an ESPN one, or some other one that you can get on and check scores and stats on to see if you can't watch all the games. You can get in there and look at production for people.
Yeah. There's a lot of apps out there. So if you're in fantasy football, you're probably on an app already. Let's be real here.
Probably.
Most any fantasy football thing, unless you all still do old school and live draft and have to like check stats on your own, which I don't recommend, then you probably have it on some website which then has an app for it.
Yeah.
Unless you don't have a phone, then just be on the computer a lot checking.
Pretty sure there's an app for all those things you listed as well.
Probably.
Because there's no way I'd want to keep track of all my points in a dynasty that way.
I wouldn't either, but some dudes might still be old school. If you are, props to you. I would hate to do it, though.
Yes. So
but
who do you think, before we close out, who's your worst pick?
My worst pick?
Everyone say their worst pick.
Well,
Starters.
out
Of your starters. Out of your starters.
Out of my starters, probably, honestly, T.Y. Hilton. Not that I don't like him, but he's still the most iffy because I have no idea what's going to happen since Andrew Luck was like, yo, I'm out.
I would say,
if we're going outside of that, easily Marquez Valdez-Scantling because, you know, who knows what's going to happen there. Or Will Fuller could be a great pick or a horrible pick. So he'd be up there with, like, maybe one of the worst. It depends how he pans out.
within my starters, I'd have to say either Hunter Henry or Aaron Jones. Hunter Henry's not a terrible tight end, but he's not, like, amazing. And Aaron Jones, well, we all know the issues with Green Bay's running game the past several years.
New coach, though.
That's true.
So we'll see what happens.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that before. That could turn that running game around because Mike McCarthy was super old school and was not willing to do any new stuff hardly.
No.
That could flip that offense on its head.
I think my two are either Jared Cook, just because of new system, new team, or DJ Moore because of who knows at this point with the Carolina Panthers.
I don't know. Most of my starters I'm happy with. The only one that scares me is T.Y., but otherwise it's all bench guys that I'm like, that could have been a horrible grab.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
then I'm also like,
know.
I got a Cowboy on my team.
Hey.
I think my potential for my best pick could be A.J. Green. Mostly because of how late I was able to get him.
Ball now? Is it still?
Still the Red Rifle.
Dalton. But he's always been good with AJ.
As long as it's not in the playoffs.
Well, yeah. Even
he
then,
was,
AJ
was
fine.
good in playoffs.
The rest of the team.
Yeah.
Like,
one year they should have won, but
The
Pittsburgh was
defense
playing
blew it.
dirty, so then they decided to play dirty
Even
and blew the
dirtier.
game.
yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, I mean, Cincinnati just as a whole kind of blows it in playoffs, even though AJ is still like, yo, I'm still AJ Green.
Yeah, he had the most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons to start his career. He had like 5 in a row to start his career. Not just in general, but like from his rookie season through his 5th season, 1,000 yards straight. Super consistent. So if he ends up what he normally is from injury and isn't out super long, as late as I got him, that could be the steal of the draft for me.
I'll give you that one.
Either way, we've been recording for a while now. I think we've all had fun with our draft. We had some weird picks. Not going to mention all of them because there was honestly a lot of them that I was like, man, that was a weird option.
Still not as weird as my one earlier, though.
No, you had one that was super weird. Like we said, if somehow you haven't drafted by the time this comes out, use the tips because those are also tips from professionals. But if you have, use them next year. Otherwise, just have fun with your draft. Pick guys that look like they're going to do good. I got nothing else for today. What about y'all?
No, it's bedtime.
Fair statement. Well, I think that's all we got for today. This is JC Radio signing out.